Hey everybody, Koricon here, and I'm
the street level critic.
We got Roger over there, and we're going to be discussing movies and TV shows that have influenced us. We're also going to be doing a video on your channel, Street Level Critic, talking about whether or not, people should watch videos or things at double speed. That should be an interesting conversation. So I've got a link in the description below to his video on his channel. Go check that out if you're interested. And we are going to be talking about movies and TV shows that influenced us and why. Now,
that's right.
It doesn't mean that the movies and stuff that we're talking about are going to be like these amazing movies. Most of the time they influenced us as kids. If you watch it again as an adult, they're pretty bad.
Yeah, not always.
Sometimes, not always, but sometimes.
Yeah, some of them hold over, some of them don't.
So before we get into like specific genres, is there like one moment, and it doesn't have to be a movie or TV show, but it has to have influenced you in how you see them? Is there a moment when you were younger that you were like, okay, that is interesting, and then it shaped how you analyze or how you watch or anything like that?
All right, what pops to mind, the first thing that pops into mind, or the first movie, it's going to be a movie, but the first one that pops into mind is, it's going to be not embarrassing, but it's Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
That's a good movie.
When I was a kid, it was just something when I watched, I was like, wow, they can do this. It's the kind of thing where you imagine as a kid, you play around, you're like, what if this G.I. Joe was 40 feet tall? And, things that in your mind you play around with or you create. And then you see it on film and you're like, wow, yeah, they can do this. They can film this. It's kind of like what we do today with green screen. But now our imaginations can be seen. When I saw that, I was like, wow, that is huge. And I must have seen that movie, I don't know, 40 times when I was a kid. I loved it. So
that's cool.
That's one.
Yeah, I can totally see it where it blows your mind, where you're like, whoa, that is possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's kind of the same kind of realization. It was the Michael Jackson Thriller.
Oh, the video? The music video?
The music video.
Yeah,
so
the full thing?
Yeah, when it came out, we had the VHS for it. And so you watch the music video because it's like 15 minutes long or some ridiculous amount. It's a short movie.
Yeah.
I was like 6 years old. And the zombie stuff when they were coming in, and it scared me.
Yeah.
I was so nervous. Like by the end of it, I felt weird. It was all nerve-wracking. But then right after the video, they had a behind the scenes of how they made the music video, how they did the costumes and the makeup and all of this other stuff. And it was like a light bulb went off in my head where I was like, it's all fake. It just totally switched. And ever since then, whenever I've never been scared to a movie ever since then, but every time I watch a movie or a TV show and something cool happens, I'm analyzing in my head, like, all right, what did they do to make that happen? Like how? Yeah. So I'm always analyzing the behind the scenes, or if I can't figure it out, I'm like, I hope they release a behind the scenes so I can see how they did that.
Oh yeah.
But it's all because of Michael Jackson.
Yeah, that's major. Didn't they release that like on MTV or something, like at once, like on a Sunday? I remember watching it. I don't know about live. Yeah, live. It had to be back then. Yeah, I think it was on a Sunday, but yeah, that was a big one.
I saw it probably a little later. Somebody had rented the VHS for the music video, and that's what I saw. But yeah, that it totally changed how I see movies.
Yeah, learning how things happen behind the scenes can change everything. My sister I live in New York, okay, guys? So my sister was downtown, and she just saw a movie set. And she's like, oh, let me look at it. And she saw it was a big chase scene, a car chase scene with a lot of cars. Everything was shut down in the whole avenue. And then she saw it ended up being one of the Die Hard movies. I think it was With a Vengeance. I think it was towards the beginning where he was in the cab trying to get to the Central Park where the water jugs are or whatever.
Right.
And she saw the cars were driving super slow, and then the main cars were driving a little bit quicker.
Right.
And it's just all camera movement and editing, how it works. And then when she told me that, I don't remember what age I was. I wasn't too young, obviously, at that age, but I was like, oh, that ruins. So now every TV show, every movie I'm watching, I'm like, yep, everyone else is driving slow and the one car, and they're just editing it. So it's all behind the scenes. I don't know about ruins. I'm exaggerating when I say ruins, but it is something they're like, yep, I know exactly how they did that. So it's funny how you learn something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that is one way of doing it. Another way I've seen is where they speed up the footage.
Yes. Yeah.
So it ends up going at twice the speed to make it look faster, but it's really obvious.
Yeah, sometimes it's really badly obvious.
Mm-hmm. And that, but when you have a sequence that's done at real speeds, it's noticeable. You're like, wow, that feels dangerous.
Yep. Have you seen The Raid? I think it was The Raid 2. Have you seen that movie?
Yeah, I've seen them both, yeah.
Yeah, when they were in that car chase scene and the camera was going in the car and outside the car, and then you could really tell that they were really doing really cool stuff with the camera, and stuff was happening quick. So
yeah, one of the ones that stood out to me was the chariot scene in Ben-Hur, the original Ben-Hur.
Oh my gosh,
with Charlton Heston.
Yeah, you can't fake that. No, the horses. And
that was all done at real speeds. I mean, they even had, I think, like 2 or 3 stuntmen died making that sequence.
Yeah, I think that sounds familiar, yeah.
It was so dangerous, but it comes off on film where you're like, man, like this is crazy.
Yeah, you could tell the kinetic energy in that scene, yeah. Big time.
That's why part of the reason why I think the new Ben-Hur just didn't work is they didn't have that level of production value, you know.
Yeah, I didn't see it. You saw it? You saw the movie?
I did, and it was...
I only saw the trailers.
Just watch the Charlton Heston one. It's great.
I just want to see Morgan Freeman's dreads. That's all I want to see in that movie.
Yeah, watch the trailer. That's enough. You get enough of his dreads, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, for specific genres, what is your favorite genre? Like, if you're bored at home and you're on Netflix and you know you're just going to turn your brain off and something's going to play in the background almost.
Okay.
What genre do you go to?
It would be sci-fi action or action. Something in there. So here's something where, to me, I mentioned earlier, I tell people all the time, is I measure things a lot when it comes to replayability. Or like, I don't have a big DVD or Blu-ray collection, but what I do have, all of it has a lot of eye candy. Like, I want to see stuff that you'll never see in real life, obviously. I want to see big, bodacious, crazy action scenes. I want to see big things, explosions. Maybe not Michael Bay levels, but, you know, things that... For example, I can rewatch The Matrix Reloaded over and over and over again. If people ask that question, if you could have one movie on a deserted island, what movie would it be? I might say The Matrix Reloaded, not because of the quality or that it makes sense, or not that it doesn't bother me that it ends off with a cliffhanger, but the highway chase scene, the fight with the 100 Agent Smiths, all that stuff is just like, wow, I can watch that over and over again. So probably something that has action and maybe some sort of sci-fi element with the action.
You sure it's not the sweaty dancing orgy that goes on?
Oh, that song. Yeah.
That threw me off the first time I saw it. I'm like, okay, so they're having a meeting because everyone is going to die. They're talking about being, found out and probably killed soon. So let's party and have a rave.
Yeah, just random, and then start having sort of an orgy. Yeah, I can't even tell.
Everybody is like wet in see-through clothes.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, well, I guess this is what that kind of community is. Like,
we're all gonna die. Might as well. Just,
But the highway chase scene with the twins.
Yeah.
And the twins like phasing into the car and all that. Like that's what caught me. That's what kept me wanting to watch the movie.
Yeah, have we had something to this day that's in that level of like, I'm overusing, or people overuse the word epic, But something that big of a chase scene in realistic cars, not like space or talking like earthly based. But yeah, I can't come up with anything, not right away at least.
I would say that maybe in The Dark Knight with the Joker chase sequence.
Yeah,
with
that
the,
night sequence. Yeah, with the trucks.
Yeah, with the trucks. That one was a great sequence.
It was, yeah.
But it didn't move as fast.
Yeah.
But it was at real speed.
Yeah, it was, yeah. And they flipped that truck for real. I was amazed.
And there's some really good ones, like in Speed. A lot of that stuff.
Not the ship.
No.
Cruise control.
That one never existed. We don't talk about that one. But the first one where they're they're underneath the bus, especially when he's underneath the bus, on that little like rolling lay down skateboard thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A lot of that stuff is very thrilling, but not to the scale of Reloaded, where you have like them exploding over a car. And Deadpool 2 has a really good chase sequence that's got a lot of eye candy in it.
Yeah. I loved it. Did you see it when it came out right away?
Yeah. Actually, my review of it should be coming up, well, by the time they see it, yesterday.
Okay.
I filmed a review with a friend of mine, and and I did that with Solo as well. So those will be going up tomorrow, or from your point of view, yesterday. They should be up already. You can go check them out. But
time travel.
Yeah, time travel. But Domino was incredible. Like, I love Domino and her luck.
Yeah, what a great power set to have.
I know.
Why not?
Which was awesome during that chase sequence. Like, everyone's getting beat to hell, and she's flying out onto a fluffy panda bear.
Not even breaking a sweat, just walking away like, okay, guys, what next? Let's go. The guy, the driver's gun jammed. Everything just went perfectly for her. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, like, I would go with action as well as my go-to. Like, I can just have it playing on my second monitor while I'm editing and doing stuff over here. Just have it in the background as background noise. For me, I guess with action, it would be where when I was younger, I didn't feel very powerful. Even though I was. I mean, I've always been a big guy. I've always been a big kid, but I got jumped. I grew up near DC, and I was getting jumped all the time. Because I was the biggest kid in school. So, this group wants to be feared by the rest of the school, so they take out the biggest guy, and it shows that they can take out anyone if they can take me out.
Don't bully kids.
Right. And so I always felt like I had no power. Yeah. And then, well, especially if there's like more than 5 of them. If there's less than 5, I can usually handle it. But over 5, you can't do much with that.
Watch The Matrix Reloaded, then you can know what to do with over 5 guys.
So when it's like when I see an action sequence, I feel more, I'm like, I like seeing the bad guy, get taken out. I like seeing the good guy win in some epic action battle. Yeah. And going to a TV show that had influenced me in that way was the Incredible Hulk.
Oh, yeah.
With Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno.
Ferrigno, yeah.
Like, when I was a kid, every time his eyes went green and I knew he was going to change, I got all excited because the bad guys were going to get beat up.
Oh, it's on now, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's partially why I gravitate to action. But it's also an easy genre to just kind of turn your brain off.
Yeah, it's easy to consume, yeah.
Yeah, easy to consume. You don't have much going. You don't have to analyze too much.
No.
You don't really have to pay attention, Like
no, not really.
Like a Fast and Furious movie, you can just kind of be there and you'll get the whole thing.
Yeah.
So is there a TV show? Now, I mentioned the Incredible Hulk. So is there a TV show that was like really big influence to your childhood?
Wow, let's see. I watched a lot of cartoons when I was a kid. So full disclosure, my parents were a little bit strict when it comes to what I could and couldn't see. So they were they did let us watch The Incredible Hulk, but that wasn't really crazy violence. But I'm trying to think now. That's a good question.
For animation, I would say when I was really young, it was like Gummy Bears and DuckTales. I like to this day I love
Gummy
DuckTales.
Bears or Care Bears?
Gummy Bears.
They had a show, Gummy Bears?
Yeah. Gummy bears bouncing here and there and everywhere.
Wow. I got to look that up now. I don't recall.
That and DuckTales. Like, I loved the adventure aspect of DuckTales.
Yeah.
And then later on for animation, it would be Batman the Animated Series and Tiny Toons, Pinky and the Brain kind of stuff. Like, I loved the Batman the Animated Series. Like, that was something we'd never seen before. Like, it was drawn.
We hadn't seen storytelling like that before, no.
And animation, like, it was drawn on black paper. You know, I never even considered that when I was younger. What do you mean you can do it on black paper? But it makes perfect sense. You don't have to color everything black.
Just fill in the negative space. Yeah.
It's
amazing.
What were some of the cartoons that you watched then?
G.I. Joe was huge for me. I would rush home to try to catch them. DuckTales is big. I had forgotten about that. DuckTales, Transformers. Oh my God. Everything that came on Sunday morning, Hanna-Barbera, everything that came on. Because back then, you know, there was no DVRing, there's no rewatching. So either you caught it or you're pretty much screwed.
Yeah, there was...
Unless you buy the tapes,
Saturday morning and then after school. That was pretty much it.
Yeah, that was it, yeah.
Yeah, with Transformers, so you were watching the original Transformers, the 80s. Did you see the Transformers movie?
No, I wasn't one of the people that got messed up in the head when Optimus died. Luckily I didn't have that trauma.
Dude,
when I was a kid.
The opening of that movie, everyone died. Like the first 10, 15 minutes. Everyone, I was like, I saw it for the first time when I was an early teenager.
Oh, okay.
So it didn't affect me as much, but I was blown away. I'm like, that is a ballsy decision.
Did you know it was coming when it happened?
No, I didn't.
Oh, wow.
I had just rented it at the store one day because I was like, because I hadn't even heard of it.
Oh, okay.
And then I was like, how did they get Orson Welles in this?
Yeah.
And Leonard Nimoy. What?
And then mind blown.
Yeah, and then they killed off everybody. And there's a Weird Al Yankovic song in the middle. I'm like, this is the craziest movie I've ever seen.
Like, what am I watching right now?
I don't know what is going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that movie. And then when they did the G.I. Joe movie.
That's what I was going to mention right after, yes.
They tried to do the same kind of thing, but they actually changed some of it. So, like, I think it was Duke was supposed to die at the end. But
in the fire?
But then they added, or he was, like, dying in someone's arms or something.
Yeah.
But then they added a little voiceover that said that he had passed out.
Oh, really?
But in the original cut, he was dead. But
wow.
The people that were watching, the test screenings, they didn't like that.
Okay.
So they were they were trying to do what Transformers movie did, but they had to pull it back.
Yeah, I have my best friend. Pretty much, we discuss that all the time. We watch that a lot. Also, the G.I. Joe movie, that opening sequence with the song. We'll just recite that song to each other one time. We'll just walk up to them and the heroes. We'll just sing this song to each other. It's really epic. I love it.
That's great. Yeah. All right, for was there a movie or maybe even a couple of movies that made you realize I am a nerd and I don't care? This is epic. Like I fully embraced my nerdom with this one. For me, it was Army of Darkness.
Oh, okay.
I saw Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, and when it was over, I was like, I'm full-fledged nerd. Like, I absolutely love this movie, and I know only people that are like me are going to like this movie, because it got panned by critics. Like, they hated the movie.
Yeah, that's a very... either you love it or you don't kind of movie, yeah.
Yeah. So that's when I knew, okay, I fully embrace my Dungeons and Dragons, my Warhammer stuff. Like, I fully embrace all of that because nothing can top Army of Darkness.
Yeah. For me, I would have to. It would be between two things. I guess it would either be The Princess Bride, because I would start quoting that so much. I mean, every time someone said any line from that movie, I would just start going into the whole scene. Or Inconceivable. If I ever hear that, to this day, if I read it, if I see it, I have to say it like he said it in the movie. Or As You Wish. Oh my gosh, I have to quote it just like he said it.
Yeah.
And so back then, because I used to rewatch that a lot with me and my sister, and when I would quote it to friends, they'd be like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "I don't care. I love the movie." So yeah, I think maybe that would be an easy one, or that, or Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters. Yeah, the first one.
Well, even to this day, I can't hear Who You Gonna Call, and not gonna say it or anything. All the quotes, when it comes to movie quotes, not that I'm great at remembering them, but the ones that I do remember that I love are super cheesy or geeky or whatever. And I'm like, I don't care. I will quote it. Even though everyone knows I'm going to say it, I'll say it every single time.
If someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes.
Of course.
Yeah, I was going to mention Princess Bride in the next point. But I don't have the favorites of many things, just because I like to stay kind of neutral. And when I analyze something, I don't have a favorite actor or a favorite director or a favorite actress or anything, because now I have people that I trust can do a good movie. Like, they statistically have picked good scripts. And so if they're involved with it, I am expecting a higher quality film. But there isn't anybody where I'm like, I have to watch everything they do. I might.
Yeah, it's not blind.
Right. It's not. Yeah. I don't want to go into a movie with fanboy blinders.
There you go. Yeah.
Now there's a couple of actors I'll watch whatever they do, even though I know the movie is bad, just because of their personality, and that would be like Christopher Walken.
Oh, because he's awesome. That's why.
I'll just, if he's involved, or Jeff Goldblum, I'll watch it just because they're in it. And I know that their characters are going to basically be themselves.
Yeah, at this point, those two especially.
Like in Thor Ragnarok, they basically hired Jeff Goldblum and said, just be yourself.
Yeah.
We'll just turn the cameras on. Here's guideline of your lines. Have fun.
Yeah, there are a few actors like that. Sam Jackson, almost. You could change it up a little bit, but he's a little bit of a, one-trick pony. Not too much, but you know what I mean, right? He's that guy.
I mean, if he does anything with Tarantino, though, he does very different characters. But if he's doing just regular popcorn, he's basically being himself.
Yep.
But for that, I do say my favorite movie of all time is The Princess Bride.
Oh, wow, nice.
Because I can quote the whole movie. And the only other movie I think that I can quote the whole thing would probably be Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Wow. Oh yeah, that's high up there on people's list of what they can quote. Yeah.
And maybe even Life of Brian, because I love that one as well. But I've seen Holy Grail, like I can't even remember how many times. Like, it's got to be hundreds by now. But I can quote those two movies, Monty Python, Holy Grail, and Princess Bride. I can quote the whole thing. And
does a musical count?
The musical?
No, does a musical count?
Oh yeah.
If I say I can quote, I don't know right off the top of my head if I can do the whole thing, but I'm just saying Sound of Music is something, because my parents were really strict. So they're like, oh, they're just watching a good kid singing movie. So we watched that a lot on a loop. We had the tape. We just watch it as much as we wanted. So yeah, that's one that I can quote probably the whole thing.
That's a good movie, though. I like that movie.
Yeah.
I mean, and that epic camera shot on top of the...
on the hill.
On the hill.
Yeah.
The hills are alive. That whole scope of the cinematography and what they were doing with the camera was great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I like that movie. For me, if a musical, I guess... every Christmas I have to watch White Christmas.
Wow. Okay.
With Danny Kaye and Bing Crosby. I don't know why. I've just
That's just your movie. Why not?
it's just every Christmas I have to watch that movie. It's like a standard for me. And
Yeah, for me, it's A Christmas Story. That's my Christmas movie.
yeah, and I think a lot of us nerds would go to A Christmas Story. That seems to be like a standard Christmas movie. Or the ultimate Christmas movie. So like
Die Hard.
Die Hard, exactly.
Arguable for some people, not for me.
No, it
But arguable.
takes place at Christmas. It is a Christmas movie.
Yeah, it's a family movie. He goes save his family, Christmas. Yeah.
But for like, quintessential like Christmas movie, it would have to be White Christmas.
Okay. Yeah.
A lot of people may say like It's a Wonderful Life would be their quintessential Christmas movie.
Miracle on 34th Street. Some people a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. But for me, it's White Christmas.
Yeah. And even now, so a lot of people say Elf.
Elf?
I like it too. Yeah.
Elf is awesome. Just thinking about that movie makes me laugh.
Yeah.
So what about other genres like horror movies? Was there a horror movie that just like one movie that totally sticks out in your head where you're like, that changed me?
You're probably, I don't know if you have your computer open because I can't name the movie, but I can tell you who was in it and what it was. To me, I didn't watch a lot of scary movies growing up, okay? But I went to see this at the theater by myself. I sat like kind of against the wall in the corner. It wasn't too full, middle of the day type of thing. And I was scared out of my mind. I closed my eyes at a certain point. I was like looking away from the screen. It's a movie with your guy, Jeff Goldblum, Alicia Silverstone, and I can never remember the title. But those are the two actors that are in it that, out of name that I can name. I don't know if you could pull it up there. But it's something like, I think Alicia Silverstone's boyfriend died and he comes back to life. And then, I don't know, Jeff Goldblum was a surgeon of some sort who saved him. He brought him back after too long. So then he could see from the other side. I don't know. Good luck.
Around what year?
In the 90s, 97, 98 maybe. Who are you looking up? You looking up Jeff Goldblum or Alicia Silverstone?
Jeff Goldblum. I found it. It's called Hideaway.
Yep, that's the one. I can never remember the name because the name is so generic.
It is. It's very generic.
It could be anything. It could be a romantic comedy. It could be a Hideaway. Like, doesn't really sound like a scary movie.
No.
And it's exactly why I went to see it. I was like, oh, Alicia Silverstone, Jeff Goldblum. Hey, I love these guys. And then I was sitting there freaked out. But yeah, that's the horror movie of all. I mean, I like a lot of horror movies. I like especially, is there a subgenre where it's human? It's nothing demonic or nothing? Like,
yeah,
stuff like a psycho killer.
Right.
That kind of thing, per se. I love those more, especially after I saw Scream and I was like, oh, they're self-aware. I love when things are self-aware in movies, when things like no one has ever heard of a zombie, like on The Walking Dead. Like what? It bothers me to no end. I'm like, what? You don't know about these certain things that happen in the world or in comic books? Comic books don't exist in these movies where they can see these fantasy elements and know what to do or what to say. So, yeah, definitely.
For me, the horror movie that, after seeing Michael Jackson's Thriller and going through all of that, there was actually one movie that that scared me.
Yeah?
But it had to do with a lot of things that was going on. So when I was a kid, and even today, like I was telling you before when off camera, I'm a night person. Like I'm usually up all night every day. I'm usually up most of the nights. And so even as a kid, I was like that. I was a night owl, and it drove my parents crazy. But I would sneak out into the living room and watch movies. But we had a UHF TV, and so it had the click, for turning the channels.
Yeah.
And the channel that showed movies late at night was 54. And so
Really?
trying to get to 54 without making a sound was really difficult.
Yeesh. Yeah.
And so what I would do is when I went to bed and everybody was getting ready for bed, I would walk by the TV and go and try and turn it as much as I could.
Smart. So when you turn it on, it'd be up there already.
Yeah, but I had to watch it with all the lights out because I couldn't turn on any lights because my parents would have seen it under their doorway. And the volume would have to be really low so that I'm really close to the TV because, you know, I didn't want them to wake up because we had a very small house. We had a very small house back east. We didn't have a lot of money.
And there's no Bluetooth headsets back in the day, so you couldn't.
No. And so I was watching John Carpenter's The Fog.
Oh, wow.
And you have the pirates that are coming back once every, was it 5 or 10 years or something, to take revenge because the lighthouse wasn't turned on and they had all died when the boat hit the shore. And so, but the fog rolls in, right? And that's very ominous, and the music going on. But then you would have people in the fog and they couldn't really see what was going on. And then you have this like dead, rotted hand with seaweed on it just come out of the fog, grab people and pull them in, you know? And I'm probably like 12, maybe, in a pitch black house with
close to the TV
with the volume almost up. Like, it freaked me out.
I bet, yeah, tense. I would. That would be amazing if your dad came up behind you. Scare you.
Yeah. So it's like, if I watch it now, though, I'm like, oh, that's just a good movie. But when I was like 12, just being in pitch black and not being able to make a sound, the whole
all that together
of it, it really changes it. So if you ever watch The Fog, turn all the lights out, turn the volume down, and put your head really close to the screen.
I'll try that.
It'll probably freak you out a little.
It'll blind on my 4K TV to blind me.
Yeah, totally. What about dramas?
Okay.
Is there a drama? Because I know for probably like you're a lot like me in that we don't watch too many dramas because we get really bored.
Yeah, straight up dramas. I'm trying to think of what I can categorize or name. Oof, you have one in mind? We can go first because I'm trying to pull something out.
So for me, I think I would say like A Beautiful Mind, and because it really hit a chord with my nerdness. I love math and science and stuff like that. And so seeing this guy that was a really smart mathematician and the way that they filmed it, one of the things that struck me was him writing on the window. You know, seeing the math written on glass. Like he couldn't even write it on paper anymore. Like he was so needed to get it down that he would write problems on anything. Yeah. And then all of dealing with the schizophrenia and stuff like that, because I'm bipolar.
Oh, okay.
And so even though bipolar can't turn into schizophrenia, if you look at the scale of mental illnesses, I guess, bipolar is right before schizophrenia because
they're that close.
Yeah, we have a lot of things that are similar. I don't see fake people that talk to me, you know, like a schizophrenic does. I don't hallucinate imaginary people, but I still understood a lot of what he was going through. And so I don't know, it just struck me.
You could practically relate then?
Yeah, I could relate. I just wasn't that smart or that crazy, but I was like, I was a little bit smart and a little bit crazy. It was enough to where I understood what was going on.
Yeah.
And I thought it was shot beautifully. It was a beautiful movie.
That was Ron Howard?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
For you?
For me, it would be, I watched this pretty late in life. I was in college, and for 1 year I studied film, and they said, oh, you have to watch this movie called 12 Angry Men.
Oh, that's a great movie.
And I looked at the box art and I was like, oh, what is this? I really have to watch this. Okay, fine. It was in the library. I put it in, put the headphones on. And till this day, I'm like, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. I can name it. It's incredible. the way that they were able to blend the story or write the story where you're in one room, pretty much, two, maybe three if you really consider the beginning and in the end, but just incredible writing and, you know, the cast, all of it. I never saw the remake. I want to see it, but the Showtime remake of it, but incredible.
I haven't seen the remake either, but when you have originals that are that good, you don't need to remake it.
Yeah.
You know, just like Psycho. When they remade Psycho, I was like, they even did almost shot for shot, and they still.
Yeah, that's the weird part of it. Like, if you're gonna remake it, then try at least maybe to spice it up, but I guess not.
Yeah,
shot for shot
just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So I would just stick with the old one because it's a classic. And my dad is going to be very happy to hear you say that.
Oh yeah,
he loves that movie.
Yeah, it's really good. People check it out if you haven't seen it. 12 Angry Men.
It's a great movie. It is one of those that if you're a student of film, you have to watch that.
Yeah.
It's one of those standard movies that, like, this is amazing. You need to watch this one.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What about fantasy?
Okay. Now we're talking. Oh, man. Fantasy. There's so much. Like I said, Princess Bride was up there.
Yeah.
You know, when they went into the forest. But would we consider Lord of the Rings fantasy?
Yeah, Lord of the Rings is fantasy.
Because that's the one. It's the first one where I actually, because they released so much behind the scenes stuff, and you know, it took a while for them all to come out, you know, over the years, that I really got into that series. I never went back and read the books. I don't like reading the books while I'm watching something, because I figured if I'm gonna watch it, I might as well just watch it one way, and then I can always go back and read it later. But I loved that series. Loved everything about it. The behind the scenes, the making of. After I learned how much work went into it, I even enjoyed it even more. And the extended versions are the ones that I have to watch now. I can't watch the theatrical releases.
Right.
But yeah, that would be a major one for me.
I think for me, and it's not a great movie. I totally know that. People are going to say that movie sucks, but I love it still.
What is it?
Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay, the one that they released. What year was that? In the mid 2000s?
Yeah, something like that. And it had Marlon Wayans in it.
Yeah, that one. I liked it.
What I was surprised about it was, so the director was a huge D&D fan.
Okay.
And so a lot of the stuff in there is very true to the 3rd edition D&D rules and characters. Okay. So I played a lot of D&D when I was younger. And seeing a lot of that stuff that I recognize and know is real is like, okay, wow, I know this stuff. It makes sense.
They did this.
Yeah, they did this. They had the eye monster, you know, they had these certain spells and just the feel of it. But what surprised me is that they made that movie on just $30 million.
Small budget, yeah.
They didn't give them very much, but they had an epic dragon battle at the end. Yeah. You know, the director was able to pull a lot out of a little bit of money. And so I was really impressed with that.
Yeah, I don't have a history with Dungeons and Dragons, so when I did see the movie, I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. I like it. You know, I don't really have any pre-knowledge of it, so I can't complain or pick at it. So I liked it. It was fun.
Yeah, and I'm hoping, I keep hearing rumors that we might get another D&D movie.
Yeah, every year you hear something, because it's always going to be one of the things that they want to remake eventually.
The thing about D&D is, you know, like with Lord of the Rings, you have 3 books. You know, you're going to get 3 movies. Then you have The Hobbit. They could do the Silmarillion if they want to, I guess. But then you kind of run out of stuff after a while. With Dungeons and Dragons, you would never run out of stories.
Limitless, yeah.
Yeah, you would just create another character that would be
it all depends on your creativity or where you can go with it, yeah.
Like, almost, I think the 2 greatest influences for fantasy writers are Tolkien and Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of fantasy novels deal with that. the Shannara series from Terry Brooks, the
Chronicles, yeah.
yeah, the Xanath novels from Piers Anthony. Like all of these epic novel series, they're all influenced by Tolkien and D&D. So
Yeah, the originals, yeah.
you could easily do hundreds of Dungeons and Dragons movies and just have different characters with different storylines. You could even have a trilogy in there if you wanted, but
Question, would you want to see something like that as a high budgeted TV series where it's, serialized, or would you prefer movies? Like a trilogy or etc.
That's a really good question.
Like if an Amazon or HBO or Netflix, somewhere where they can really put a budget behind it, see something.
It would have to be done right, because they did the Shannara Chronicles or Shannara series on MTV, and it's bad.
The only reason I liked it was that the actor from Spartacus. Did you ever watch Spartacus?
Yeah, that was a great show.
The one actor who plays Deathstroke on the WB. I liked it because of him, but very cheesy and.
Well, and they turned it into this thing with it's basically a teenager show where it's like all of this pointless, stupid drama that I'm just rolling my eyes like, if that girl talks one more time, I just kill her. Like, I hated it. So I couldn't watch the show. I think I saw like the first 2 episodes and I was like,
okay. So you gave up that.
I was so disappointed.
I watched the first season and a little bit of second. I don't know if I finished the second one, but yeah.
So if they did do a show, I would want it done by HBO or Showtime.
Yeah, there's not that many. Not Netflix? You don't think they could put the money behind it?
Yeah, Netflix. I would totally watch a Netflix version. Or Amazon Prime, I think they might be able to do it, but they may not have the budget.
Yeah, what are they doing now? They're doing that Lord of the Rings show.
Yeah.
That they're really putting a ton of money behind.
Yeah,
we'll see how that comes out.
After that, they're not going to have the money to do a D&D show.
Yeah.
But you don't need a lot of money. Like, you don't need Game of Thrones money to do a D&D show.
Yeah, it depends what angle you go. If you focus on one character and then show him seeing the world or them, etc.
Like, have you ever seen The Gamers?
What is that, TV show?
No, it's a series of movies. Very, very low budget. It was done by this production company, but they are D&D gamers, and it's called The Gamers because it's very self-aware in that it's about these guys that are playing D&D, but then it goes into the fantasy part, so they're the actual characters.
Oh, okay.
But they are still the D&D players, so they'll be doing things that are pretty funny, like in the fantasy world part, where this like guy, he wanted to be a female sorceress, right? But he keeps forgetting that he's a woman. And so in the fantasy, you see him in the red dress, and then they have to remind him that he had played a girl. And he's like, so
it's like Jumanji, where they go into the game and you see them as the characters, but they're not like that.
Yeah, but then they have a lot of things that take place in the fantasy part. Like, one guy will do something and then the DM will tell him you can't do that. And so they retrofit back to it and then he does something else. Or they tell him to go and roll. And so he rolls and then he does something amazing. Like the warrior is trying to pull the bars off of the wall and he can't roll high enough to be able to do it. But then the little small hunter guy, he rolls a 1 or he rolls a 20, and so he can pull it off. Just things like that. But they have a trilogy, and they're hilarious. If you have a chance,
I gotta check it out.
Yeah, I think you can watch them for free online. But
really? Okay.
Yeah, they have 3 movies. The second one I think is the best.
Okay, I gotta check it out. What is it called? The Gamers?
Yeah, Gamers. Just look up Gamers.
Oh, Gamers. Okay.
Or Gamers movies. But
cool.
Yeah, I like those. They're really fun. Yeah. What other genres? What about?
There's comedy. There's.
Yeah. What about comedies? What kind of a comedy really struck out at you?
All right. Now we're nitty gritty. I would say the one that really. It would have to be Dumb and Dumber. I was in high school, sophomore. I don't know what I was, but I went with two friends of mine, and three friends of mine, and we lost it. Like, it just hit at the perfect, like, my humor at that point where I was in life, and it was incredible. I loved it. So that's the one that I would have to name.
I've got a story for Dumb and Dumber as well.
Yeah.
So before Dumb and Dumber, they had the trailer for Mortal Kombat.
Wow. Maybe, I don't remember that, but yeah.
There was no internet back then. You know, there was no way of seeing a trailer multiple times.
Nope.
And I absolutely loved that trailer.
The trailer, yeah.
Because you had the song, Mortal Kombat, dun, 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 you know? And so...
That was awesome.
Me and my brother went and watched Dumb and Dumber 6 times in the theater.
Just to see the trailer?
Just to see the Mortal Kombat trailer.
Wow.
But then we also fell in love with the Dumb and Dumber movie in the process. But my main reason for seeing I went and see Dumb and Dumber because I wanted to see that movie. And then I was surprised that the Mortal Kombat trailer was there. And so I went and saw it like 5 more times because I liked the movie and I wanted to see the Mortal Kombat trailer.
Yeah.
It's a dumb reason, but yeah. And I think
that's just something we don't experience nowadays, you know. Not anymore.
And then with Jim Carrey, I would say Pet Detective.
The first,
First Pet Detective.
Yeah.
I love that one too.
Yeah. That's another one that till this day I still quote. Both of them, actually. Dumb and Dumber, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. Super quotable.
Totally. For other comedies, I would say the Ernest movies.
Which one is, if you had to choose a favorite or a top, which one would it be? For me, it Goes to Jail. Yeah,
I would have to pick Goes to Jail for the reason, not only is it funny, I love that movie, but my grandma took us to it.
Ooh.
And we wanted to
What did she think?
Well, we wanted to sit near the front, and she didn't want to sit that close, so she sat in the back. And my grandma was a very serious person, but she had her soft moments, which were nice. And when we were watching Ernest Goes to Jail, you could hear her laughing from the back of the theater. Like, she was laughing so hard, and it blew our minds. Like, we've never heard Grandma laugh like that before. Wow. It was crazy. And so I loved that movie for that, but I also love Scared Stupid.
Okay, yeah.
Mainly for the one joke where they're looking at the book to find out how to kill the trolls, and they find their weakness. And it says the troll's weakness is, and it's M-I, and then the letter is kind of faded, scratched out, and K. You know, so it's milk. But Ernest looks at that and he's like, Miak. It's gotta be Miak. And he runs off and he's going to like every kosher Jewish store looking for Miak.
Yeah. I think I've seen it one time and I barely remember that scene, but when you just told it right now, I remember.
And then him having, he needs to kill them with love, and so he's like kissing these trolls, and there's like snot all over his face, and I don't know. I love like Ernest Goes to Camp. That's a classic.
Oh, another one. That's maybe top. Yeah, that's debatable for me. Yeah.
So I think that influenced me a lot when I was a kid, is those Ernest movies.
Yeah.
What about?
Yeah. Sci-fi, pure sci-fi?
Yeah, what about... So, I've got something for you. Now, a lot of people ask me, are you Star Wars or Star Trek? And I always tell people I'm both because they are not a part of the same genre. Star Trek is sci-fi. Sci-fi takes place in the future. It's based on science. Yeah. Even if it's like got fantastical aliens and whatever else, but it's still kind of based in science. Like there's a possibility that this could happen.
Could happen, yeah.
Star Wars takes place in the past, It's got
Galaxy
it's got
far, far
magic.
away.
Yeah, it's got magic. It's got
Yeah.
laser swords. It's
All
a
kinds.
fantasy. It's a fantasy. So I don't compare them because to me they are separate fantasies. It's almost like trying to compare the Matrix with Lord of the Rings. It doesn't make sense in my head because they
Yeah.
are not the same
Totally
genre.
different genres. Yeah.
So-
I guess the word star makes people.
Yeah, makes
Oh,
them
they
think
must
it's
be in the same genre. The
Yeah.
star.
But it's
Yeah.
not. To me, they are totally separate.
Yeah, you can like both. Why not?
Yeah. So, Star Trek influenced me a lot for sci-fi.
Okay.
That was my big sci-fi thing. Star Wars was another big thing for me, but on the fantasy side.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I was a kid, I didn't compare them. It didn't make sense to me why you would compare them.
Trying to think sci-fi as a kid. That's tough. Didn't see that much sci-fi as a kid. Yeah, I don't think Terminator.
Terminator 2.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I think I saw Terminator 2 before I saw Terminator the first one, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But I love those movies.
I love the Terminator movies. The Star Trek 2 Wrath of Khan. I think that was the first. I saw the first movie, but it's very slow. They were trying to basically be 2001 Space Odyssey for Star Trek, and it didn't work that well.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked the reveal of V'ger being the Voyager satellite. I liked that reveal, but Star Trek 2 Wrath of Khan, I mean, that cemented me as a Star Trek fan. And then the Next Generation came out, and I watched all of that. Like, it was a family thing. We would
full
watch.
series?
Yeah, we would watch Star Trek: The Next Generation was our thing. But Terminator, the first two Terminator movies, and the first two Alien movies.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Big influencers on sci-fi for me.
Question about the Terminator, real quick. Do you ever get into that conversation with people of like it could never have happened? Because if he didn't come from the future and birth John Connor, how could he be the dad? Like, how could that ever happen? If,
it's
is it a mistake? Is it a time travel thing that you have to just assume or accept?
I will say all time travel movies have a paradox.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
All of them. There is no time travel movie or TV show that does not create its own paradox in some manner, some fashion.
Yeah, form or fashion, yeah.
Yeah. So I would say it's possible, but I don't care. It's a time travel movie, whatever. Whenever I see something that has time travel in it, I already go in automatically thinking there's going to be a paradox. I'll find it, and I'll just accept it.
Yeah. Since we're touching on time travel, across all genres, that's always my answer. If it's time travel, I love it. I love time travel. Back to the Future, forget it. Anything time travel, I'm obsessed with. I will watch it. I love it. I like it. Time travel is number one for me.
But so with Back to the Future, because of the humor elements, they bypass the whole paradox to where it doesn't matter because you can just explain it away as, well, it's humorous.
Yeah.
But they do have a lot of little nods in there that try to correct some of the paradoxes. Like, when he goes to the mall, it's called like Twin Pines or something. No, it's called Twin or Double Pine or something like that. But then when he goes back the second time and sees everything, that name has changed because of what he had done.
Wasn't
in the past.
the was a housing complex?
Yeah.
When he went back, I don't remember what it was at.
But then when he went back again to that mall and saw everything happen from a third person point of view, the name of the mall changed to like Twin Pines. And so they tried to put in little nods like that, little Easter eggs to show that the time has changed. Something has changed. Yeah. But again, it's humorous. Like, especially when you get to the third movie and they're in the Wild West. I mean, it goes off the rails.
Then you got to really accept a lot. Just open your mind and just enjoy it. Yeah.
And then there's a flying train. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like it's like whatever.
Oh,
It's
I wish they kept on going with that. I loved it. Here in New York City, you know, I don't know if you've seen, people must have seen, there's huge billboards all over, right? And there was one particular billboard that on my way to school, me and my sister would go and take the bus, and we go right past it every time. And so in when they were advertising for number 3, it was just a poster of drawn art of the Wild West. So just an open country. You see mountains in the back and just tumbleweeds and nothing. There was nothing on it. No movie studio logo, no pictures, no name, no nothing. And then 2 weeks later, I believe, you start to see horses coming out on the right side of the poster, you know. And I was like, what is this? Because it was always a movie. So me and my sister knew it was a movie. We didn't know what it was, had no idea. And then then they showed the DeLorean behind it. So you know, oh my gosh, Back to the Future. And then it was like, wow. And I wish, you know, now we have motion posters and all that kind of stuff. But that was huge for me back in the day, seeing that and just the reveal and just the suspense of what is it going to be.
Right. Now, me and my dad share a love of tracking shots.
Oh, okay.
When you have large battle sequences and the camera is moving along with whatever motion, whether it be a car or people running like Braveheart, but horse tracking shots are beautiful.
Yeah,
they're difficult, but they're beautiful. And so my dad had collected like all of these movies for tracking shots, like epic tracking shots.
Oh, really?
And I'm trying to remember the name of this movie. My dad's going to kill me for not remembering it. But I'm putting it in the description because I'll ask him and I'll write it down there for anyone that wants to check it out. The movie itself was okay.
Okay.
But it's an old Indian movie, black and white, and they had an insane amount of extras.
Really?
To where they went, they had a tracking shot of everybody charging this castle. But they had people running, they had horses, and they had elephants.
The Mummy Returns. No.
But it was all real. There was no special effects. They had gotten something like 50,000 or 100,000 extras.
Wow.
With something like 20,000 horses and like 100 elephants. Like, it was insanely huge. And then this tracking shot of all of it going. It's intense and insane.
I gotta check it out. Is it on YouTube, that clip? I gotta check it out.
Probably, but I'll put the
link to it, or the name at least.
Yeah, I'll put the name of the movie in the description, so if anyone is interested, they can check it out. But
cool.
That was incredible.
Do you guys consider the shot in Jaws when he's running and he's going by everybody else? Because we studied that in film school.
Yeah.
You can following him, but everyone else is zooming by.
Yeah.
He's in focus.
Or any Tom Cruise movie.
When he's running.
When he's running, because he's got to run in every movie. They always have a tracking shot of him running.
Yeah, well, he's a good runner, and
he's fast.
Gotta give it up to him, yeah. And now he's halo jumping out of planes.
Yeah,
in the new one coming out.
Yeah, he does. He does. I'm not a big fan of him as a person, but he goes above and beyond on his movies, and he really wants to please the audience, and he will go above and beyond to do that. So I give him full props. Like, I like
he'll
his
break
movies.
his ankle to get that shot
and complete the shot.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you, are you able to put aside an actor or an actress's, or an actor's outside things that they do on the outside shenanigans when you watch a movie, or are you not able to?
Yeah, for some things, like with Tom Cruise, he's a Scientologist and he's weird and
he likes to jump on couches. Come on.
Yeah, that stuff to me is not a big deal. I don't want to know him in real life. I might interview him, but I would be very short amount of time that I would want to be around him. But I like his movies.
Me too, yeah.
But when it comes to something like sexual harassment or rape like Bill Cosby, then
Different story.
I don't want to watch any of his stuff.
What about things like it's a heavy subject. What about Mel Gibson?
Mel Gibson, that didn't bother me as much. Now, the whole DUI thing, yes, that's horrible. But I've known people and I've had problems myself in the past with that. So I understand it, but it is a bad thing. However, what really killed his, a lot of his career was the ranting he had with his ex-wife.
Yeah,
The phone conversations. And, him, I think he had some anti-Semitic comments in there.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's a racist, and I don't think he's an anti-Semite. I think it's one of those cases where it was, he just said it in the moment, like the problem some YouTubers have had saying the N-word. Now, I think for some of those, they said it a little too easy.
Yeah, just slip slow with the tongue. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, really, that sounds like it's probably part of your normal conversation off camera.
Yeah. In your vocabulary, yeah.
But when it was something where like someone is quoting a song and they just accidentally say the word, that stuff just doesn't bother me. And I don't think Mel Gibson is a racist, because he's had a lot of stuff that dealt with actors and characters. I mean, he even made a movie that the entire film takes place in South America about Aztecs.
Yep.
I didn't feel any racism there. If anything, it was probably one of the more accurate depictions of a very specific group of the Aztecs, not Aztecs as a whole. More of a very specific subset that did human sacrifice. But Aztecs as a entire people, they weren't that violent. It was a very beautiful civilization. I've always wanted to go down and visit some of those ancient ruins, because I loved studying Aztecs and Incas and Mayans. I thought
cool.
When I was a kid, it was amazing to study their history, and some of the smartest people, man.
To come up with what they came up with,
Yeah, just
had to be.
The stuff they came up with calendars and time and studying the stars with just their eyeballs. No telescopes, no nothing.
Yeah.
They had analyzed the 23,000-year cycle of the Earth's wobble. I mean, that is insane. How did they figure that out?
Mind-blowing, when you think about it.
But with Mel Gibson, I never really felt that he was actually a racist. I think the stuff that happened with his wife, it was like he was getting reamed. Like he was basically, his life was getting stripped away. His stress level is through the roof. He's dealing with the DUI and all this other stuff. I don't give him a pass, but I am more of like, I understand.
Yeah. When it comes to acting, I can kind of like, okay, I get it. I'm watching a piece of art. I'm not really focused on the outside work of what they did or what but
but like,
unless like you said, it's something a lot more serious or heavier. Yeah.
When if someone says a racist joke, like I wouldn't do it, just because I grew up in DC. I grew up half black, half white. For me, it was just, no, you don't say, it's not your word.
Right.
I've probably said it 3 times in my life. Once by accident. Once by accident when I was listening to Cypress Hill, because I loved one of the songs and the N-word was in there. And
which song?
You remember? Jump.
Oh, okay.
And so I think I was by myself in my car.
You were reciting the lyrics, just singing along? And I was
singing along, and it slipped out, and I was like, oh, what the hell? But I'm by myself. It doesn't, like, it wouldn't really matter, I guess, but I still didn't like it. And then another time, I had a friend who I helped out. It was funny. He needed a haircut.
Oh yeah.
but we were in Oklahoma, and there's like almost no black people over
There's
there.
no barbershops around.
I think there were like 5 black people in the whole college. You know?
Wow.
And so he was like, dude, I need a haircut. And I'm like, then go get a haircut. He's like, no, I don't know where a barber that can cut my hair because it's very curly.
Yeah.
And I was like, come on, there's black people around here. They got to be someone that knows how to cut your hair. So I just drove him to the nearest barbershop, and it had the twirly thing, you know, it was like old school barbershop. And I dropped him off. I said, go in and see if they can cut your hair. I'll park the car. And I come to the front door, and he's just standing there staring. And there's 4 old white guys, like, you know, something.
Their chairs.
Yeah, with their chairs, like quintessential stereotype barbershop, staring at him. And I just throw my arm around him and walk him in. I'm like, hey, any of you guys can cut a black man's head? And one of the guys like, oh yeah, I've done it many times. And they gave him a haircut, and he's like, that was great. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'm sure they know what they're doing. They've been around a long time. But ever since then, like, and we became really good friends. And then he would say, you know, you can say the word, like, we know.
Give you permission.
Well, he's like, we know that it means, you know, brother. And I'm like, well, I still don't feel comfortable saying it. So I told him, what if you called me that is fine. And I called you honky. And he thought that was hilarious. So we would see each other. Yeah, we would see each other in the hallways, and he would yell that out. What's up, my dad? And then I would yell out, what's up, my honky? And everyone else would just be really confused. Like, wait a minute.
What's going on here?
What's going on? But yeah, that kind of stuff I think could be slips, and I give people a little pass on that. But when it comes to things like Kevin Spacey,
oh wow,
you know what I mean? It's like
then it gets a different level.
Yeah, that's a whole other level. You're using your stardom to take advantage of teenage boys.
Yeah,
I'm not forgiving that.
Yeah, it gets crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, when Bill Cosby basically raping 70 women or whatever it is, I'm not going to forgive that.
Who knows the number? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like things on that level, I won't forgive, but
it'll affect you more. Yeah.
But other things, I may not want to know them in real life. Like, I don't want to know Mel Gibson in real life. But
you want to hang out.
But he's a good director, and I like him.
Really good director.
Yeah, wow. I like him as an actor. I wish we could get more Lethal Weapon movies, because I thought his chemistry with Danny Glover was amazing. Like, they just matched together so well.
Oh yeah, yeah, they were well written.
Well, just the chemistry of them together, you know.
Yeah, period.
Just in general, like when they did interviews with each other, they just seemed like they had fun. They had a lot of fun.
The TV show, the Lethal Weapon show, isn't doing it for you?
I
you check it out?
Yeah, I watch it. I like most of it, and I love Damian Wayans.
But he did a really good job. I like it.
But I don't like the fact that he keeps putting himself in these really stupid situations. You know what I mean? Like, almost like they're desperate for more story to put in there, and so they make him do these like ridiculously dumb things that a normal human being is not going to do. Yeah. And then by the time you know the end of the second season or whatever, you're like, why is his wife with him? Like, I don't understand. Like, why would she be married to someone this stupid? Yeah. But he also has a lot of moments where he's really good. Yeah. And I like the guy that plays the Mel Gibson part.
Mel Gibson character.
Oh my gosh, I can't remember his name.
Yeah, yeah.
Whoever, if you know in the description, you tell me.
Comment down below.
Yeah, comment down below.
Is it Riggs?
Riggs, thank you. Yes, Riggs. You were right. Yes, thank you.
Riggs.
Okay, so the guy that plays Riggs, I like him. I think he does a good job. However, he just got fired from the show.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he got fired because like Damian Wayans wouldn't talk to him anymore. He was creating like I guess a hostile work environment on
Oh
set.
wow.
And so it's sad he's going to go and Sean William Scott is coming in on the third season to play Riggs.
Wow.
Yeah, and so
What's his name? What's his name on the American Pie series?
Stifler.
Stifler and Damon Wayans.
The thing is, like, I would love to see. I like Sean William Scott.
Me too.
I like him a lot. That one movie that, yeah. So you had Bruce Willis and Tracy Morgan. I can't remember the name of the movie. It wasn't that great. Kevin Smith directed it, but he didn't have any hand in writing it or whatnot.
Right. Yeah.
That movie is kind of a horror story that Kevin Smith says in his talks, you know, about Bruce Willis.
Behind the scenes stuff. Yeah.
Right. But Sean William Scott played the guy that they arrested who's in the back seat. And he was the best part of the movie for me.
Yeah. The trailers, everything that he was in, I was like, oh man, this is going to be classic.
So I like Sean William Scott. The only thing I'm worried about is that because he is a very funny actor and Damian Wayans is a funny actor, that you're not going to get that funny, serious offset.
You think they'll play up the funny?
Yeah, they'll play up the funny, and then it'll just end up being two goofballs instead of one straight man and one crazy guy.
Yeah.
And it'll end up going over the top. I kind of want Sean William Scott to play it straight.
We'll see.
So we'll see. I do like MacGyver.
The original you talking about? TV show?
I love the original.
Yeah.
And going back to Sci-Fi, Stargate. Because
the movie or the show?
The show. Well, I love the movie too, but
I love the movie.
I love Stargate SG-1 and Stargate Atlantis. I love those shows.
Oh, wow. I only saw a little bit of SG-1. Yeah.
Yeah, because MacGyver was in it. You know, and I love MacGyver. And I watched.
He's MacGyver, not the actor's name.
No, he's MacGyver.
Yeah.
I watched the new MacGyver, and the first 4 episodes, I was like, it's cheesy. But the original show was cheesy, so I'm staying.
But did you recognize it as cheesy back in the day, or when you see it now? Because when I watched it back in the day, I didn't recognize it as cheesy. To me, it was just cool.
Yeah.
But so when I saw the first episode of the remake, I was like, wow. I was taken aback. Like, what is this? What am I watching right now?
And it does reflect the original show. They actually do a good job with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. Like the original show, watching it now, it's cheesy.
Yeah.
But I've grown to enjoy the new show because I like the characters.
Okay.
I think the characters have won me over, and I don't mind the cheesy so much. It's a guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
And then another show when I was a kid was Knight Rider.
Oh man, that was huge for me too.
But you watch it now, and oof, it's almost cringeworthy how bad that show was.
Michael.
But, but when I was a kid, man, I would super pursuit mode everywhere. I loved that.
Every time I got into a car, I would imagine it would talk to me, or what it could do, or where it was.
I had a tricycle, those plastic tricycles that you would get. It was the Knight Rider car.
Oh, I've seen that.
It had a handbrake on the side so that you could go really fast and pull it, and it would spin you around.
Yeah.
And I did it so much I broke that brake off.
Oh man.
But I loved that tricycle because it was, it was a kit.
Of course.
Now, what about Westerns?
Ooh.
But when it comes to Westerns, I have 2 genres of Western.
Okay.
You have regular Westerns, American Westerns.
Spaghetti.
And spaghetti Westerns. So what would be a regular American Western for you, and what would be a spaghetti Western? So for me, spaghetti Westerns, it's got to be A Fistful of Dollars with Clint Eastwood.
Okay, I never seen that.
A lot of it is because of the very beginning. He rides into this town. It's almost like a ghost town. There's almost no people in there, in the middle of this desert. And he's riding a mule. So he doesn't even have a horse. And then these guys are making fun of his mule while he's riding in. Right?
Really?
And they're making fun of him, and he gets to a point and he grabs a sign and the mule walks off. Or they had I think they slapped it or hit it with a rock and it bolted off, right? And he
ran off?
Yeah, he grabs this sign. And then Clint Eastwood turns and starts walking to the guys. And he walks past the dude that builds all of the caskets.
Oh, okay.
And he's like, I'm gonna need 4 caskets. You know, and he walks over walks over to the 4 guys and he says, I know you've been joking around. I understand. But my mule doesn't. I need you to apologize to my mule. And they're like, we're not gonna do that, blah, blah, blah. And then a 5th person comes out. And they all start to draw, and then they got a camera shot from Clint Eastwood's point of view-ish almost. And you see him lift the gun, and you're seeing the 5 people in frame, and he's just like, doom, 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 and just takes out all 5 super fast. And then he turns and walks back, and as he's passing the guy that builds the caskets, he's like, I'm sorry, it's going to be 5. And I'm like, yeah.
Nice.
So Clint Eastwood in Fistful of Dollars, that was like a quintessential Western for me. And then for American Westerns, I would have to say the original True Grit with, oh my gosh, why is my brain not working today?
You got me there. You need more coffee.
John Wayne, thank you. So John Wayne in True Grit, I loved that movie. And then I guess I would have to throw in Unforgiven.
Okay, yeah.
Because I loved Unforgiven.
All right, now for me, see, I couldn't tell you what the difference is in the names of spaghetti versus not. So I would just have to name. That's one of the genres where I never really got into many Western movies. So I would have to say something more recent, like 3:10 to Yuma.
That's a good one.
I really loved that.
That was a really good remake, which is rare.
I went back and watched the original. Really I was like, oh, okay. I can see where this is going. But, you know, since I had seen the newer one first, it was preferable to me. So, and yeah, I don't think I can name you another one.
Yeah, 3:10
off the top of my head.
3:10 to Yuma would be an American Western.
Okay.
Spaghetti Western is a Western that was made in Italy. So there was a time in the 60s and 70s when like De Laurentiis and some other Italian filmmakers, they were enamored with the American Western. And so they did a lot of Westerns, but they all took place or they were filmed in Italy.
Over there?
With Italian actors. So you had like Italian actors playing Mexicans and Indians and Americans, but they would have an accent. It was very kind of funny and weird, but you had, the Fistful of Dollars movies, you know, what they call the Clint Eastwood no name movies where he doesn't have a name.
Yeah.
I guess the peak or the biggest one would be The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Okay,
I like that one a lot.
That's a part of the No Name trilogy. You
series,
have the 2 Fistful of Dollars movies, and then The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and I think there was some others.
That's where the famous whistle's from?
Yeah, that's from where the whistle is from.
Yeah.
You know, whenever you see 2 people lining up for a shootout and everybody goes, meow, meow, meow. That's from the spaghetti westerns. But then you have some people lump Pale Rider in there, but that's not. Clint Eastwood made that when he came back to the States. That is a American Western. Right. But it was made so close to his spaghetti westerns that people kind of throw it in there.
You consider it in there?
Yeah, but it's not.
Is Back to the Future 3 considered a Western?
No.
No? Not spaghetti, sci-fi Western, nothing?
No. All right, so now we didn't name everything, of course. You know, there's the quintessential movies like Batman, the original 88, 89 Batman, you know,
Oh yeah.
things like that. But these were some of the things that really influenced us when we were kids. But
Yeah.
what influenced you guys? What is it that really struck a chord with you when you were a kid or even as an adult, something that kind of changed your point of view on things or made you see movies in a different light? Just, you know, you gravitated to, like for me, The Incredible Hulk when I was a kid. You know, what is it that you love, even if it's not popular? Comment below and let us know what influenced you.
Yeah, I want to know.
Also, head over to Street Level Critic and watch our video that we're going to do with him talking about watching videos at double speed.
Mm-hmm.
This was a very long conversation, but a good one. I think we had a great time. You can also listen to this on podcast, and if you're listening to it on podcast, you can watch the video on YouTube. So like, share, and subscribe, and tell your friends, and I will see you on the next video.